welcome everyone to the From the Shadows podcast. I am your host, Shane Grove. And before we get started with this podcast episode, I just want to remind everybody that if you want to follow us on Facebook, you can find us at From the Shadows podcast, or go to our forum page at After the Shadows. You can find me at you can find me at Shane Grove Author on Instagram, or our From the Shadows podcast Instagram page, or to our website, fromtheshadowspodcast.com. Hit the contact button, send me an email. If you have an experience or a story you want to share, then, I'll answer your email and we'll have you on the show. Kind of like today's guest. Today's guest had sent us an email that was just too good to pass up. So we're going to bring Travis from Florida on to the From the Shadows podcast. Welcome.
How you doing?
I'm doing. Hey, I want to make sure most everybody's just listening to the show that don't watch us on YouTube. I just want to make sure I look fine, because one of the last episodes that was up, somebody commented that it looked like I was high, and and anybody that's a fan of the show knows that I am the last person in the world that is going to be high or anything. Maybe I'm high.
Benadryl.
It wasn't even Benadryl. It was before I got sick. So, and I am recovering from a cold. So my high voice seems a little bit lower today. That's why. So enough of this. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't want anybody thinking out there I was doing the show and not fully attentive. So Travis, you sent me some cool stories about some UFO sightings down there and some really cool video. So I want to hear, because it sounds like you've got a lot more stories. I want to hear what's going on down there in Florida.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm a native from down here. I'm born and raised. I'll be 51 in March. I lived in North Carolina for 4 years, but it just didn't work out. But have been back down in South Florida, obviously, since then. But I've had pretty much all my experiences down here in Florida, South Florida. I'm down by Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. So you can still hear me okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously just had that whole incident at the Bayside Mall and all that, which there was no news about down here. I told you I heard from a friend that lives in Georgia about it. I was like, huh, what? But I guess I'll go. I'd say my first sighting, or just kind of like, what the WTF moment was. I remember I was in elementary school, and my mom we stopped at somebody's house to pick something up, and I had friends there, but she said stay in the car, obviously, because if I would have went in, we would have. I wouldn't have wanted to leave, but she's like, no, stay in the car. So I remember sitting, I'm just daydreaming out the window, and the house they had lit was on a lake, and I remember you could see the lake barely, but you could see through the foliage, you could see the sky and stuff and everything. And the first time I ever really saw anything or questioned, just what was that? It was probably about 50, 60 yards over the lake, flying over the lake. And it wasn't a bird. I don't know. It just looked like a silver, like a dark silver. It looked like a garbage can almost, like an R2D2, like that type of shape, but obviously not the droid, but like that kind of shape. And it was just flying through the air, not super fast, but fast enough. But I saw it, I could see it, and just, a glimpse. And I remember it's like, man, what the hell was that? Like, that was just really weird. But so anyways, that's the kind of the first thing that I ever saw. Just kind of had no clue.
I just want to stop for 1 second. So immediately when you said it reminded you of R2D2, okay,
Yeah,
that's almost tic tac shape.
yeah, yeah,
If
yes,
you think about it, if right
yeah,
R2D2 on his side is almost tic tac shape.
yeah. But it would have been him standing up. That's like,
Oh,
and yeah, exactly. Like it was
okay,
flying through the air like that.
okay, all right.
So yeah, not sideways. Did you just see that you see that video like of that, it was very recent. It almost looked like a squid like flying through the
Hmm.
air. They caught it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, over from the Middle
Um,
East or somewhere over a military
yeah,
base.
yeah. It looked
Yeah.
like that. It looked like that, but it didn't have tentacles or anything. But it was like a dark silver. It was definitely metallic, and that's what it looked like, flying through the air. Probably about the same height as that thing, and probably about the same speed, just flying through the air. Uh, and it just, that's I just didn't have an answer for it, you know. So
No, especially not as that young of a kid. It's and in that age range because I'm a little bit older than you. That would have been our frame of reference. Would have been Star Wars or
yeah,
something like that. That would have been our science fiction, and
yeah,
to compare it to something like that would have been right on. You know.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Obviously, I think most people our age are probably.
If not, they should be.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, yes, of course.
So is that something then when your mom comes back out of the house, do you tell her about it?
No, no, I didn't. I didn't say anything. Maybe I did, but and maybe I didn't, but I don't remember saying anything to her. I don't remember. Like I said, I was probably like fourth or fifth grade. It was somewhere around there. I want to say fourth grade, but I don't. I don't recall saying anything. I mean, that was a long time. That's probably going on 40 years now. I don't. I just don't remember saying anything to her.
It makes sense. Where would you even start? You know,
Yeah,
and back then parents had even less tolerance for nonsense than they do now, obviously. So,
yeah, 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 yeah.
so,
Absolutely.
so how did that going forward? Did you just think, okay, I saw something crazy. I don't know what it is. Did you really think maybe you saw a UFO or just something that you couldn't identify?
Um, Looking back on it, I don't know. It was just something I couldn't identify, but that I thought was very weird. And I know pieces of meteorite, fly and hit the earth probably every day. They usually burn up. I knew that at that age, but I didn't see a trail or anything of smoke or debris, nothing like that. Um, that's initially what I thought it was like a piece of like a meteorite just flying through the air. But and then as I look back on it over here, I'm like, there's no way it would have been. I probably wouldn't have been able to see it. It would have been too fast, and I would have heard it. It would have from the trajectory. It was going from like high ground going to a lower ground. I would have heard it. It would have hit something. You know what I mean? Because
Oh,
there was all
definitely. Yeah.
over there, and yeah, I would have heard something. Uh, Anyways, I would have hit. So that's the first thing, the one thing that I kind of questioned. Now the I'll get into the next one. This is like, to me, it's like the granddaddy of them all, of all my experiences, because I was this is a few years later. I was in middle school, and I was with my friend Tim, and there's kind of there's a little story behind it, but I think we were in seventh grade. We were at this girl's house, and she was there with her friend, and her parents weren't home, and we're obviously in middle school, and trying to, you know how it goes. So she's like, "Hey, my parents are out to eat. Uh, dead serious. She's like, if they come home, she's like, go out the back door, and then when they come in, go around the front, and we'll meet you out front." So, sure enough, her parents come home, and we go out the back door, and I don't know what her father did, but when we went out the back door, there had to be like 1,000 golf balls all over the back of this yard. And I remember there was like a big net in between these big pine trees. So I played sports growing up, football, baseball. I pitched all the way up through college. I had a really good arm. Just want to kind of throw that in there. So I take like 4 or 5 of these golf balls, and we walk around to the front of the house, and we're waiting. It's 10, 15 minutes going by. We're like, so I start taking these golf balls, and I start throwing them in straight in the air. It's about 8:30 at night. It's dark out. I start throwing them in the air, and we're covering our heads, and they're bouncing in the street. We're just being, goofy teenagers. So I go to throw another golf ball, and I'm just stopped dead in my tracks, and like I'm staring at a silver disc UFO, not to the east, west, north, or south, like directly above us. I'd say probably maybe a couple thousand feet. And I'm like, "Tim, look, look, look," and he looks, and we're like, what the F? And you ever see an airplane flying, and it'll disappear behind a cloud, and then you'll see it come out the other side. Well, there was this little cloud. It wasn't really clouded, but there was this little cloud. It was a very thick cloud, and I think I didn't see it, but for the couple times throwing the ball was because it was behind this cloud, and I think the wind kind of pushed this cloud, and so I go to throw it, and it's right there, man, a silver, like a dark silver. We could only see the bottom of it, and I remember there was like a bluish greenish lights on the side of it spinning around, like in circles spinning around it. And it was all, and me and my buddy Tim, but like he lives in California now, but we still talk about this story. And it like when we laid eyes on it, we both got this feeling like it knew that we saw it, and you see it kind of gear up, and just it just I mean, if I don't even know how fast. I mean, tens of thousands of miles per hour, it just shot off. And it's still the fastest thing I've ever seen, and it didn't disappear or nothing like that, or jump or nothing. Like you saw the way that it took off. It kind of like left a blur. If that kind of makes any sense. And man, and I remember we didn't even wait for the girls, man. We hopped on our bikes, and he lived about 2 miles away, and we rode full speed all the way to his house, man. I don't know why we were scared, but we were just terrified, and took off riding away on our bikes.
The crazy thing is if you're not picking up a handful of golf balls and jacking around out in the street, you never see that thing because you're not looking straight up in the air.
No, nope.
And you're probably all right that it probably was hiding behind a cloud a little bit or something, or whatever. But I mean, that is either, and I don't believe in coincidences really, but it's just that chain of events to happen to where you're looking up, which is something you wouldn't be doing. And but it always, like everybody that tells stories like that, they always get the feeling that the craft, or whoever's controlling the craft, knows that you see them. that the person has seen them and they take off, which is crazy to think it. Something like that knows that a couple kids, is paying attention to a couple kids. You think you'd have something else better to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. Like I've the older I've gotten, and the I believe I don't believe in coincidences anymore. I believe things happen for a reason and are meant to happen. And just like you said, that the chain of events, like who knows? Maybe if we're not looking up, maybe the thing zaps us up into it. Like
Yeah.
who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, why else is it just hanging out there?
Yeah.
And obviously of course I could be all wrong, but you just got to think that if it knows you are watching it or saw it, then it was paying particular attention to you,
Yeah.
And so why was it paying particular attention to you other than the fact that it wanted to observe you and maybe, like you said, take you aboard and who knows? Who knows? That's crazy. That's so
yeah.
so your buddy Tim to this day you guys still are in awe of that story.
Yeah, like I said, he lives in California and he has a place here too, but he'll come in every few months, but we always bring it up. Always. Always.
So did you ever tell the girls why you took off?
I don't honestly, I don't remember. Like Tim was more friends with them. Like I kind of had to, hey, bring your buddy along. It was like kind of that. He knew them better than I did. I mean, I ended up getting to know them, but it was. I don't think we told anybody. Maybe with the exception of his sister at that time, but man, I don't know. That was so long ago too. But yeah, we definitely didn't tell the girls. I know that.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
So now you've got a couple odd experiences under your belt, and now you know for sure that it's not just your imagination.
Yeah.
So when's the next thing? Like, are you starting to like really question what's going on?
Well, I mean, the good thing about that is that he was with me and we both saw it. So, and it doesn't matter what anybody says. Like, I've seen a UFO. You call me crazy if you want. I know they exist. I've seen them, and I've told that story the exact same way for the last 40 years or however long I've been telling it. And I think when someone is telling you a story, doesn't matter what it is, could be anything. But if you're with them and in the front of their face and you're looking at them, you could kind of read someone or you can gauge just how passionate they are when they're telling. I've never seen a Bigfoot. I've listened to plenty of podcasts, but why would thousands and thousands of people say that they've seen this thing, but yet some people don't? I don't know if I'm very open-minded. I always have been. I've never followed the pack. I've kind of always went my way, and have gotten in trouble for doing that. I think we all have once in a while, but that's just how, it's just how I've been. It's just how I roll, I guess. But the good thing is, like I said, he was with me. I have validation. Like, yeah, really. My buddy was there too. And he'll tell you the same thing. So, let's see, the next one, it was we were in Hollywood, Florida. It's just matter of fact, we were in, same town as that I've seen all these, and they just, for whatever reason, this one, when I told you when I was in elementary school, we were at those people lived by that lake. Well, this one is the North Lake to that other lake. That was the South Lake. So now we're on. My wife, we were dating. Well, this is my ex-wife now, but we were dating at the time, and I never forget, we had just gotten home. I remember we went to see The Lion King in the theater. So that was early 90s, I think 92. And we just got to her house and parked, and we're walking up. She still lived at her parents' house, and um I forgot something in the car, and she walked back to the car with me, and for whatever reason, like why did we look down the street? I don't know, but we just happened to be like, her parents lived on the close to the end of the block, so we're looking down the far end of the block, and we see this big, like, bright, it looked like a giant beach ball, like, but it was like a light bulb. And we saw it come down the street. It had to be going 100 miles an hour, and it was about 6 feet off the ground. Excuse me. And I remember seeing it, like, going back and forth in the street, not far up, just going like. And I remember when it went by, you could hear like a hum, like a humming sound, and just like but it was really fast. And then when it hit the corner, it just went and it made this huge, huge wide turn. And I looked at, my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, she's like, what the F was that? And it was about, like I said, it was about 6 feet off the ground, flying right down the middle of the street. And I don't know. I have no clue what that was. I had no idea.
So so that was not similar to the first one that you saw as a kid. This was totally different as a, you know what I'm saying? Like the first one that you saw that you thought was like R2D2, was nothing at all like that, huh?
No. That the first one was in the daytime. This was at night. Like I said, this was about 10:30 at night, maybe 11. Excuse me. And like I said, it looked like a giant light bulb, just a big circle, like I explained to you before, like one of the beach balls that people are popping around at the baseball games. It was about that size, just as bright as could be, like as bright as the sun, man, just flying, just right down the street. But we saw it from one corner or one end of the block. It hit the other end, and it had to be it did that in less than 2 seconds. And it was just astonishment, like. And I looked at my girlfriend, and there's another thing that was validated, because she saw it too. Like, what the F was that?
When do you start raising your hand and saying, what is going on here? Like, is anybody else seeing stuff? I mean, is this an area that there is other UFO sightings, or there had been, like, historically?
Down around where I'm at, I'm not sure, but I know during the same time frame where I'm seeing all these in the mid to late 80s, there was a massive amount of sightings in Gulf Breeze, Florida. I believe that's on the West Coast. And and we also have a nuclear power plant down here in Miami, and we have an old abandoned nuclear silo in the Everglades. And I know from what people say, they're attracted to nuclear facilities or things or whatever. I've heard that. I can't prove that, but that's what I've heard. But my general area, I'm sure people have seen them, but back in the 90s, people were really skittish and weren't talking about that. Not like they are today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was 92 or 94. I think it was 94. I just got out of high school, and I've seen at that point, I'm in my low 20s. I've seen a couple things now that, I've told people and they look at me like, they just don't engage or aren't inquisitive, and, okay, next topic or whatever. But my wife, ex-wife, she saw it too. And like, they're, I don't know. Like I said, I've always been very, very open-minded, always. And I'm always looking up for whatever reason. I don't know why. I'm always looking at the sky.
Because you see things. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You see things. There's a reason I'm not playing the lottery because I never win. You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
I won
Yeah.
if I won the lottery, I could play all the time. But yeah, you see, if you've seen some things, you're gonna keep looking.
Yeah.
But if you looked and looked and looked and never saw anything, maybe it might stop you. But now that there's always the possibility that there's something there. And I will think about that, like on the, we're definitely where I'm at. It's not a hot spot at all for UFOs, but I often wonder, like be walking down the street delivering mail, and I'm like looking up in the sky, like, is this the day I'm gonna
Yeah.
see something? But I
Yeah.
just end up misdelivering mail because
Oh,
I'm
oh
because
yeah.
I'm looking.
Yeah.
but
I
I
hear you.
but that's what I'm saying is I think people spend too much time looking down and don't see what's even around us at eye level, let alone what's above us in the sky for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so then what? When's the next time that you have a sighting?
I'm trying to think. I remember it's another time too. I remember I went out to my buddy's house, and he lives down same area, but he lives really far out west, kind of close to the Everglades. And I remember one night trying to think. I was in a matter of fact, I remember I was in a fantasy football league with them, and I had come in the money, and I remember he said, come by and pick up the money. And that was the reason that I had went over there. And it was around the same time. It was about 9:30 at night. Um, and from where he lives, like we have a major airport east though, but you can see the planes coming in, like from where he lives. His front door, you walk out and you're looking south. So, but anyways, so I didn't just go over there and collect the money. He's a buddy of mine, so we're just shooting the breeze. And when you're talking, you're kind of moving around, changing position to whatever. And then I'm looking, and I'm like I remember the video I sent you. Remember that, like that bright orange thing? Like, this is the same thing that I saw. It looked like it looked like a giant, like, tic tac fireball, but there was no definitive shape to it. It just looked like oh man, like I don't know how to even describe it, but I'm like, it's just, and it's going really, really slow. But it's not an airplane. I'm like, I'm looking, I'm like, I don't even say anything to Joe yet. I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out what this is. And I'm like, Joe, what, like, turn around, dude. Is that a UFO? I'm like, what is that? He turns around and we're watching. He's like, bro, what is that? And so we see it flying from, it's coming from west and it's flying east, and it's, I don't know, probably a couple miles away, but it's just this big, long, uh, like, it looked like a giant flame. I don't know. I don't know I just don't know how to describe it perfectly. I'd have to draw a picture or something. And he's like, I'm gonna go get my wife. And I'm like, as he starts to say this, it starts to turn, and it starts to kind of like fade out a little bit. And now it's, instead of going from west to east, now it's turning and it's going directly south. And I'm like, Joe, hold on. And as he's saying he's going to go get his wife, it vanishes. It just disappears from it, just gone. Just we saw it, bright orange, looked like fire, west to east, turns south, and just, it disappears, just vanishes. We don't see anything fall. It just disappeared.
Which is kind of weird. Like the way you're describing it, I'd almost imagine that if it turned to take off, it'd leave like a tail, or some residue. Since you said it wasn't kind of defined, it was almost like a gas or flame, you know.
Yeah.
But for it just to disappear like that is that's kind of strange. I mean, that's kind of weird to me.
Yeah. Well, I know, but the weird thing is it just it was going from west to east, and then it made a right, and now it's going directly south. Like we see it turn, and then now and then it just vanishes. But we see the turn.
Which aircraft do not turn at a 90-degree angle?
Yeah, no.
Very
No.
well, I don't think.
No.
Not on purpose.
Yeah.
Not on purpose.
Not that we know about. Wink,
Well,
wink.
Yeah. There you go. But most aircraft that you'd expect to see within the air flight pattern of a major airport couldn't make a 90-degree turn like that and live to tell about it. I wouldn't think. I mean,
No.
this is to defy a lot of laws of physics and I don't know anything about physics, but it seems to be something that just wouldn't normally happen. So, but again, here's 3 separate incidences where you got somebody with you that's witnessing this stuff.
Yep. Yes. Yep.
And there's 4 different instances where you essentially described significantly different crafts or whatever you're seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever get do you get the feeling like they're drawn to you, or you're just so aware of what's happening that you're able to see stuff?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you're chosen. I don't know if you're, like I said, I'm I'm an only child. I've had to, I've grown up like that, always just, you got to be aware of your surroundings. That's just, growing up, single mom raising me. That's just how I grew up, on the streets and things like that. So just, there's an extra layer of just awareness that I've always had. And, I've passed on to my kids, always keep an eye over your shoulder and always, just be aware, and you see that today with today's kids, just older now. Like I'll walk into a place where I see a group of kids and they're all like, they're not even engaging. They're all on their phones. It's like, just want to go slap them. Like, hey man, like, if you know what I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sad.
Exactly. And so now, there's another crazy one. What else? What's next?
Yeah. Oh boy, I'm trying to stay chronologically here. I was with my daughter, and she's the one that actually saw this one. We were at it was like a birthday party or a graduation party, and it started, I don't know, I remember it was light out, but it it went into the nighttime. And I've told my daughter, she's in her 20s now. She's in college, and from my previous marriage, and my older son, he's 19. But I remember she came and I was inside the house. She came and jerked my arm. She's like, Dad, come, because I've told her my UF stories, so many times that, I get the eye roll now. She's heard them so many times. But she's like, Dad, I think I come, like, what is this? So she brings me outside, and she's like, she can't find it. And then she's like, wait, there it is. So we're looking, and like we see, it was like just over the tree line. Like we see this, it's just this red, like dark, almost like a violet. I don't even, it was just really weird color. It wasn't bright, but it was just, you could hardly see it. And it's just sitting there in the sky. Like, and I told her right away, I'm like, that's a drone. I'm like, she's like, no way. She's like, no, Dad, you don't understand. Like, I saw it. It didn't, like the way I'd have to talk to her again about it. And no sooner than when she says that, like this thing, if it was there's no way it could have been a drone from what and again, it was almost like it knew we were looking at it. And it just, like I said, it was above the tree line, and this thing shot down so fast, almost like to get out of like sight or vision or something like that. But that's another encounter I had where my daughter actually came and got me and was the one that brought it up, and we saw it together, you know. But it was brief, and it never reappeared. We never saw it after that. We were looking through the trees to see if we could see it, and we couldn't. So, you know, that was another time. But
how did that affect her? Like,
well, it's funny because I remember shaking her, and she was like, I was like, I told you, you know, just like kind of, you know, it's like she's heard my story so many times, you know, it's almost like, you know, it's kind of like self-validation, you know, like I told you, like, and what she believed she saw was a UFO. And I think that, you know, she knows. And I still question it today. I still don't know what it was. And it definitely wasn't a drone. There's no way with the amount of speed that it like left the area in. It was just too fast. And, you know, and like I said, it was just hovering. But she definitely believes. She's very she's very open-minded.
well, at least she was looking, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I was inside the house, and she came and like jerked my arm. She's like, "God, come here!" Like literally. It's like, whoa, okay. And you know, we saw that. Oh man. Okay, I'm trying to think. So the next one. Obviously, I told you I'm a delivery driver. Also, I'm just on the you know, I'm not going to say for who, but the route that I I don't do this route anymore, but I would have to take the Sawgrass Expressway, which if you look east, you see homes and businesses and all that. Now, if you look west, all you see is the Everglades. That's all you see. It divides the Everglades from the population. All right, you following?
I'm following.
Okay, so I get on the interstate. Now I'm done. I'm tired, and I'm heading back to the center. And I remember it was pouring rain, and it was really, really windy. So being in a big courier truck and you're on an interstate, and those trucks, if it's really windy, you can't really go fast. I mean, you can go, but yeah, they'll wobble on you. So, and I remember, so anyways, I'm driving north, and eventually this interstate, you make a right, and then you go from then you'll go from west to east back to where my center is. So anyways, I'm going north, and I see this, it was far away, but it was like a bright white light. And it was like in the middle of the clouds. And like I said, it's really windy, and it like the sun was just going down, you know, like when it's pouring rain and the sky's gray, but you know, the sun's still out because there's still a little, you know, not as dark. So I see this bright white or light straight ahead, like probably 5-6 miles. It was just a little light. And I'm like, what is that? I'm like, it can't, there's no airports over there. An airplane wouldn't be flying that low. And it wouldn't be a helicopter. It was too windy and pouring rain. So, now I'm driving on the interstate. I got to pay attention to what I'm doing. There's cars. It's a little after rush hour, but everybody's going home and trying. So I'm driving north, and I told you this interstate takes a bend, and then you're going from north south, and now you're going from west to east. So I'm driving now west to east, and I look to my left, and I see this light again. Only this time it's closer. It's probably a couple miles away now, but it's a little bit bigger, and it's just like a bright white light. And it was really windy, so the clouds were going really fast. And I'm looking to my left, but at the same time, like I said, I'm driving this truck. I got to pay attention to what I'm doing. And I'm looking and like I'm like, what is it? Can't be like what? It can't be a helicopter. It just can't be. And I look, and it's gone. I lose it. And I'm like, whatever, man. I just, like I said, I'm always looking up. I'm always looking for weird stuff, but I lost sight of it again. I'm like, I don't know. It was just weird. So now this was such a long drive I had every night when I was done with this route. So now I'm still driving. Now I'm still going east, and I drive about I still got about 8 miles to get back to the center. So I'm driving another 2 or 3 miles. And you ever see like those big radio antennas that up out of the ground? They got the big wires that hold them in place. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like
the guide wires and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And those poles, they're a couple 100 feet, or maybe a couple 100 yards up in the air. But so anyways, I'm driving, and man, I don't know if I see this light again now this is the third time I've seen this. Now I see it, and it's about 100 yards away to my left, and it looked like it was a big white circle, but I could see through it. I could see through it, because when I was driving, you remember about the big antenna that I just mentioned? As I'm driving, there's one of those antennas behind it. So as I'm driving, I can see the antenna, or tower, excuse me, the tower. I can see it through this big, giant white ball. I'd say it was probably about maybe 20 feet in diameter all the way around. And I didn't have an explanation for this, but it was really big, and it shrunk, got smaller and smaller and smaller, boop, and it just disappeared. I've told this story, and a lot of people thought that maybe I saw a portal, is what they think I saw. And I don't know, but I remember I was like, oh my God, I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm in traffic. I'm like, other people have to see this. I was so excited. I'm like, holy,
Well, what's weird is that you saw it from two different angles, and then it disappeared. And then
that was the third time I saw it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and it disappeared. Okay, well, yeah. So from three different angles, which the portal thing. Wouldn't you think the portal would be just one spot and stay there?
Yeah.
It's like something wanted you to see it and say, until I got your attention, I'm going to keep messing around. Like that's
I was
weird.
right. No, I know. And I was driving. I was so tempted to get my phone and start recording, but I was like, man, we got cameras in the trucks and stuff. So I don't know, man. I got nervous. I was like, man, but I remember I was so excited. I'm looking at other cars. I'm like, somebody else had to see this. Like I am not the only one. But I remember it was just, I don't know if you could see it, just went woo, and just, but I remember you could see it, but you could see through it. Cause I remember seeing the tower as I was driving, go like, like I said, a luminescent or what, I don't know, something like that. But yeah, it was pretty wild, man. I don't know what it was, but like that too was not far from the Everglades,
Which, man, well, listen, you don't even have to convince me anymore. I know something weird's got to be going on down there.
Yeah.
I've heard enough to know
Yeah.
that that's I'm not going to the Everglades unless I'm going to Stacy Brown. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. We got some spots. If you ever come down, man, we'll take you for sure.
Oh gosh, he says the same thing. He says the same thing. I know what kind of spots. He's got spots where I'll disappear and no one will ever see me again. Spots. That's what the mom used to say. I got a spot for you. I guess.
He lives in Florida, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
Stations?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's funny.
I don't think he probably lives too awful far from some of these places you're talking about, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. That'd be cool to catch up with him and go out there. We go every few months. But like I said, that seeing that portal was kind of like really, and the last thing that I've seen. But all my other experiences have been out in the Everglades with some friends. I sent you a couple of the videos. And we look in the sky with our own eyes when we're out there, and you can't see anything, but you put the night vision goggles on. Oh my God, there's stuff shooting all over the place, coming to a complete stop. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Man, we got the laser pointers. We'll point them out, and like you'll hit it, and then it'll stop, and it'll go back the other way. It's wild out there, man. Wild.
Now, okay, so those couple videos that you sent me, number one, do you care if we put those up when the episode comes out so people can check them out?
Okay, you gotcha. Yeah,
I mean, do you care?
Oh,
do you care?
no,
Okay.
absolutely.
So I want you to explain like you explained to me then, so when people hear this, they'll be able to go check out the video and see what they're seeing. Because once you explained it to me, then how it kind of transpired, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Well, I forget. Well, I think I sent you 3, right? 3 videos.
You sent me the one where, and then where it started with a tail, like it started like a tail, and then it stopped, and you guys couldn't see it, and then but you recorded it with your phone behind the infrared or the night vision.
Okay, gotcha. And you see like what the one where like it's like that big trail almost.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And then it stops and disappears, but then you could see it in the night vision if you keep watching the night vision.
Exactly. Okay, so so the first video, like I said, my buddy, we go out there. It's usually me, my buddy, and his wife, and and we're out there, and like we haven't seen anything, man. Like we're looking, and normally, man, it's popping off out there. We're seeing things all like from as soon as we get there. It's usually pretty hot always. But for whatever this night, it was just we weren't seeing too much stuff. I don't know. I think they released Epstein's list, man. I think that the aliens were. Yeah, I don't know. No, just kidding. So, little segue there. So, and then my buddy spots it, and he's looking north, and it's just above the tree line. But it's just a dark orange. We don't see a tail or anything. You just see a dark orange like light. So I start filming it, and then it's coming. It's the direction it's coming. It's coming from north to south, and then you see it kind of like go up a little bit and tail. So now it's going from low elevation. It's getting to a higher elevation, and then we could see it. Now, mind you, like I said, you want to explain for the audience, we could see this with our own eyes, okay? Now, and then all of a sudden, it just disappears. I'm recording it with my phone. It disappears from my vision, my eyes, and my phone. But my buddy and his wife, they both have night vision. One has binoculars and one has I forget what it's called. And it's just the single one.
The single one, like the eyeglass, like the spyglass.
Exactly. Yep. But they can both see it. And I'm like, all right, so now I'm grabbing my phone and I'm trying to it wasn't easy to do because he gave me the binoculars first, or she did gave me the binoculars, and it was just too hard. There was like rubber around it, and my buddy's like, here, take this one. He gave me the binocular, and then I finally line it up and set it up, and now I'm filming this, which you can't see with your own eyes. Just keep that in mind, people. You can't see this with your own eyes. We could only see it through the night vision goggles. Why? I don't. This thing was so bright and so it lit up the sky, but we can't see it unless we had the night vision. I don't know. I don't have an explanation for that. I know we can only see in different spectrums, like animals and things like that. I don't know. And, we tracked it all the way to where it was, by the time we were finished recording, it was over the city, like west, by the Everglades, but, the western towns and cities out there. And we looked up to see if Elon Musk had launched anything that night or Starlink. It was nothing like that. Nothing was going on that night with him.
Which is crazy, because then all the other times, where you've seen stuff and it disappeared, you're like, did it really disappear or did it just cloak itself? Like this apparently did. And I told you I heard something similar to this. Brent Thomas, who hosts the Paranormal Portal podcast, told a story to me one time. He might even told it on the air with us, that he went up to, I think it was in Colorado, but it was in a mountainous area, and he was staying in somebody's mountain house. Okay. Like, so.
You know what? So, I remember that. I remember that podcast. Yeah.
Do you remember that? And
yep,
he said, so he's there and it's 3 or 4 stories high. And it's just, you're looking over this valley, and the guy had infrared or night binoculars.
It was like his buddy's house. He let him stay there or something like that. Yes.
And so he picks up the binoculars and he can see with the binoculars a craft above this pine tree. And then he takes the binoculars down and it's not there, and he puts it back up and it's there. And that just, and as soon as you said that, it reminded me of that story. Like, holy smokes. So much so that I went and got a pair of those binoculars, and now I've been scared to use them because I don't want to see what's going on in the backyard.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, it's, it lets us see in a spectrum that we just can't see with our regular eyes,
Which is, it's just, and you almost wonder, is like, did that technology come out to just kind of tease us a little bit and let us know that there's something out there that we don't have a handle on, because if they didn't really want to, if we're going to go big conspiracy here, if they didn't really want us to be able to see that stuff, we'd never have access to that kind of technology, not the average. And if we have access to that, imagine the technology we don't have access to.
No, they just, they slow, what are they, like 30, 40 years before we even see any, I don't know, who knows?
Oh yeah. That's, I don't know, but I can't wait to share those video clips now that people have the understanding of what's behind them, because that definitely really hammers home the point that something crazy is going on. And it's not just you, it's 3 people out there
Yeah.
watching this, and you guys are all talking, and you
Yeah.
guys are all acknowledging what's going on. Um,
Mhm. Well,
and it's
there was actually a fourth person out there too. It was just some guy that was out there with his telescope stargazing that we just
really,
yeah, we just befriended, and so we were all clamored together all night, and just spotting stuff. He wasn't with us, but we all ended up like hanging out together. So there's actually four people.
wow. And you would think, and look, if there was going to be stuff flying around, you think that would be a place where it could do it and probably not have a much chance of getting discovered, you know, because it's
Right.
probably population's probably pretty sparse in the Everglades. And if you're in the Everglades walking around, you're probably looking on the ground, right, for stuff instead of looking in the sky. Don't you have to look for alligators and snakes and everything else?
Yeah. Well, the like I said, the one where we park is a there. It's like I mean, you kind of do, but where we're at, like it's like a fenced off area. If you go further down and like I said, there's places where you got to worry about, but where we go and where we park, it's like made for that. It's made for parking and things like that. Like and the area is fenced off, so you don't really have to worry about alligators over there. But if in other places, oh yeah, there's not just alligators. There's some other things out. People release their boas. They get too big and they release them out in the Everglades. It's crazy, man.
God, I can only imagine. I can only
Yeah.
imagine. I can only imagine. Now, now you mentioned before when we were talking that you um it had some other stuff starting to happen here that that you may want to talk about a little bit or throw it out there and just see if anybody's got any thoughts on it. So what else is happening? If as
Was
if
that
this isn't enough.
with the paranormal?
Yeah, with the paranormal.
Yeah.
Because something crossed my mind while you were talking about some of these UFO stories. So I want to see what this paranormal story is, and then I want to see if it ties in. If what crossed my mind is what might be happening.
Yeah. Okay. So I told you obviously that I was divorced, but I'm remarried and I have another little girl. She's 5, but I've lived in this house for going almost 7 years, going on 7 years, and I never used to get anxiety or anything like that. When I lived here, I started getting anxiety. I've had some stress and stuff going on in my life. I don't know, but my wife's grandmother lived in this house, and she ended up getting real sick, and she passed away well over the last few years. But she was really, really, really tight with her grandmother. Like they're, even more, I just very strong bond. Um, but we would be in our bedroom, uh, just laying down watching TV, and my wife, she always falls asleep uh, before I do. She passes out, and I could feel like a presence. You ever have someone standing behind you? You haven't seen them yet, but you know they're there. You could just feel them. You like
Mm-hmm.
the hairs on your neck stand. You just know someone's there, or you could feel someone walk in the room. So I could feel this presence come in, and I don't. It never feels evil or sinister. It almost I've spoken to this with my wife. I've said this to her many times. I said I think it's your grandmother. I think she's coming to check on you, and it's not every day or every week. It's every once in a while. So that was happening, and so one night I'm watching TV, and I don't know if you ever been sitting on the bed. You ever feel like a cat like jump on the bed and like you'll
Oh yeah,
feel
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah, like that impression. Poof. You so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
So one night, now this has happened 6 or 7 times. I'll be watching TV, my wife's sleeping, and it's always by my feet on the right corner of the bed. And like I felt this impression, and I almost thought I saw like the cover move. And immediately I look at my wife to see if she's moving around or, adjusting while she's sleeping or moving her feet. It's completely still. And I'm like, man, that was weird. I don't think anything of it. I dismiss it. I watch Ghost Adventures and I watch all those crazy shows. And so it happens again. And you know what else has happened in this house that I've never had happen in my life ever is I've had sleep paralysis. I want to say, I think 5 times. And I don't know if people listening or whoever, if you've ever gone through that, man, it is terrifying. And if you are in it, just pray to God. And usually I snap out of it within a minute or two. I say the Archangel Michael's prayer, and I snap out of it. So anyways, the feeling of a cat jumping on the bed starts happening. So you're following, right? So this happens about 6 or 7 times. Okay, so this past Thursday, I believe I listened to it on your show with Stacy Brown and them. They were talking about the Conjuring House experiment. So I watched that while I was working. And this was on a Thursday. And I kept hearing about it over and over. And I was looking forward to finally watching this, which I did. And I thought they did a great job on it. It was really good. I enjoyed it. Very, really good. So anyways, this same Thursday, finished work. I go home, and it's about midnight. I was outside. I let the dogs out. I go lay down, and I'm watching TV. And it was 1:00 on the dot. I remember I was like, man, I'm getting my butt kicked at work this week. I was tired. I was like, man, I got to go to bed. So I turned the TV off, and 10, maybe tops, maybe 15 seconds after I turned the TV off, like I told you, I've been feeling this like impression of like maybe a cat or the cat jumping on the bed. So I feel something, not physical. I feel something slap my ankle and like take the covers and jerk them. I was like, whoa, like I hopped up and I was like, all right, you got my attention. And it wasn't like the cat jumping on the bed, like something physically hit the side of my foot, almost like a pressure of air. But something like if you took the corner of your bed, your comforter, and you clenched a fist of a comforter and you jerked it, that's what it felt like. And it's scared, man. I don't know, but it wasn't like just the cat jumping on the bed this time. Like it got my attention. I was like, wow, something is definitely in here. Like I'm not crazy. Like I'm not imagining this.
So your wife doesn't feel any of this stuff?
No, she believes me, but she just she doesn't engage. She's not inquisitive, but she believes me. She thinks it's her grandmother. But after the other night, I don't know, man. I watched the Conjuring House experiment. I don't know. Like when I watch those things, like it's like you're listening to like. Can you bring those things on by listening to them, or they were doing a seance and stuff? I don't know.
Well, I'm going to tell you, my wife worries every time I talk to somebody about ghosts and stuff that they're going to come to the house. I mean, I believe if you go somewhere that you could bring something back with you, an energy or a presence. I'm not sure you can, maybe though you're having those thoughts and there's already something there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's already something there. But I'm going to tell you, when you were telling these stories, and it almost directly ties into the lady I just talked to from California. I wonder if you have had some closer encounters with, I don't want to say aliens, but whatever there is that's I mean, there's got to be a reason that you have been witness to 5, 6, 7 different crafts, even if you've seen them with, I mean, especially you've seen 4 or 5 of them with other people. It's
Yeah.
almost like something is trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
And something like the sleep paralysis, I mean, that's almost like comes along with an alien visit. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Now,
Going real quick, but I don't want. I'm sorry to cut you off. I've
right.
never seen anything during sleep paralysis except for one time, and this one time, what I saw was like it was a black ball. I would say it was maybe the size of a volleyball, but it was black and it was shiny and it had all of these oh man, do you remember the original Superman? Do you remember when they send him from the planet, they send him in that silver thing with
Okay.
all the things pointing? Uh, that's the only thing I could like relate it to. You know what I'm talking about? When he's a baby and he crashes
Yeah.
on Earth,
Yeah.
but it has all those silver pointy like objects out of it. Like I don't know, whatever you want to call them. But that's what it looked like. But they kept shooting out and retracting, shooting out, but hundreds at a time going. And I remember hearing like this weird hum. I was like, but I was in paralysis. I was like, oh my God, what? That's the only time I've ever seen anything. And that's the only thing that I've ever seen while I've had sleep paralysis. And that man was terrifying.
I'm sure
Like
it
I
was.
said,
I'm sure it was.
yeah.
I'm sure it was.
I pray. I always pray, and I always come out of it within a minute or two.
Well, and that's another school of thought that's been become very popular right now, is that these things that everybody's perceiving as aliens are really demonic entities, and
Yeah.
that if you pray, it's the demonic entities, gonna go away. So I mean, there's so many rabbit holes to go down. You know what I'm saying? But that's the first thing though I thought of when you started, Tom. Like, I wonder if your paranormal experiences are tied into these UFO experiences by way of you're being visited by the aliens and they just haven't really, maybe you don't want to see them. Maybe there's a part of your mind that's like, I don't want to see, I can't go that far, and you're blocking that part out. I don't know. Oh.
You know that the other night when I had the cover jerked,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I haven't told this to anybody. I had one of the people that I go out to the Everglades with, that I'm very close with. I will tell her things, but I had a vision of like a little gray standing at the corner of my bed. You're I'm telling you this right now. You're the first person that I've said this to, and I didn't see it, but that's what I had envisioned. I'm like, I I don't know, just weird.
Listen, I'm not right very often, but I hate it when I'm right in a case. In a case like, I mean, holy smokes! I don't know. To me, there's got to be something. There's got to be something to it. I would think so. I don't know.
Hello. Sorry. Hi, baby. Hang on here. I'm gonna switch rooms. I know. Hold on. I'll be. Give me 1 second. Oh, you still there?
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. He just came back home. I had to switch rooms. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah. Back to what you're. I don't know. I'm definitely have given that some thought. I don't know. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's worth paying attention to. I mean, what do I know? But I mean, when you talk to enough people, certain things start raising red flags, and that is kind of something that becomes a familiar tale is that people who have UFO sightings and have multiple ones then start having some paranormal stuff. Well, is it really paranormal, or is it alien visitation that we put in the box of paranormal because we don't want to make that leap? That's a hard that's a hard that's a long I mean that's a hard thing to say. Like, yeah, now I'm being visited by aliens. I mean, that's a hard, we want to have, I think most people want to have some normalcy still to our lives. We don't want to think that, we got grays coming into the bedroom, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
Well,
like I said, the other night, man, like it wasn't just a cat jumping on the bed. Like the covers got jerked. Like I don't know. I don't know. It was pretty scary. Something's trying to get my attention. So that's what I think.
Well, I hope that by sharing these stories and putting this out there and sharing that video that people from that area will come forward, more people, and share what they've seen out there. And I know this will, I know Stacy Brown will be listening and he'll be like, okay, I got to see what's happening, because stuff like this can't be happening in his backyard and he doesn't know what's going on, So I'll be curious to see what he has to say too, because I'm sure he's been out in those same places you have at night with the same equipment and what he's encountered. So, but I'm glad. Hey, I thank you for reaching out and sharing your story. I mean, I think people will really dig it.
Yeah, man. And I tell you this, with the aliens at the mall, if I was at the mall, I would have went up to them. Wouldn't have run away. I would not have ran away.
Maybe they were trying to find your bedroom and just came into in front of the Foot Locker there, and they're like, "Wait a second, this is a Travis's bedroom. This is the Foot Locker." Oh crap!
It was the wrong coordinates. Yeah, man. Well, if you talk to Stacy, man, tell him, man, we got a spot down here. If he ever wants to go out, man, tell him to get a hold of me, and we'll go out, man. We'll do it.
I will. So I appreciate it, man, and keep looking at the sky.
Absolutely, man. I'll keep you posted if I see anything. If anything else pops up,
and if you completely disappear, I think I know what.
Yeah. Oh man.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.